introduce yourself.
So
Yo, what's up?
Matt, a.k.a. Matt the Barber.
Ken Lucas, y'all, with my barber, Matt.
We just somehow just get on this topic of Islam, I guess because I dated a Muslim girl years ago, a devout Muslim girl, and I'm not Muslim myself, which is highly, more than frowned upon. It's illegal in the Muslim world. But anyway, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, the religions of the book, right? They're all the same God. There's this misconception that Allah is not the same God as in the Bible. No, it is. It's the same God. But you got to look at religion kind of like a prescription, okay? Islam was prescribed. Christianity was prescribed for what was going on at the time in a certain region of the world. Christianity came, if you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, people were out of hand. Sex with boys, it's gay sex, this, that, people killing each other. Noah's Ark, they had to put all the people, God flooded the earth, that was it, Then Jesus came. So God felt things were so out of hand, he had to send a prophet. He sent Jesus, sent his son, Jesus, the prophet, to quell all of the barbaric shit that was going on.
You think Jesus was an alien?
I don't know. I don't think that. So
you think he lived in a different dimension, though? You think he was able to reach over to the fourth dimension?
Yeah, because Muhammad, the prophet, went on a night journey, and on that night journey, he met Jesus. Jesus was the last one he met. Jesus was one of the main people in the night journey. He met Abraham, Moses, all of them. He met God. He ascended into heaven. He was the only human to ascend into heaven on his night journey. And so if you look at Christianity, so what was going on, the people were in an age of barbarianism. They were barbaric at the time. So he had to send a prophet to calm things down, to bring this religion in with rules and commandments. 10 commandments. Don't kill. Don't, because that's what they were doing, right? They were stealing from each other. Thou shalt not steal. Love thy neighbor. Things like that. Islam. So when Islam came about, the reason for Islam, and all three religions, it was the same angel that came down. The angel Gabriel came down to give the message to the prophets. It was always Gabriel that came down to give the message to the prophets.
You think Jesus
in all three religions?
You think he was a time traveler?
I don't know. I haven't gotten into that. But to keep on the point of Islam, so Islam came during what was called in Arabic to Muslims, it was called the Age of Jahiliyyah. The Age of Jahiliyyah means the age of ignorance, the time of ignorance. People were worshiping idols, right? Idol worshiping, golden sheep. Yeah. They were barbaric. They were barbaric, just like in Sodom and Gomorrah when God sent Jesus.
Like
so the same thing was happening in the Middle East at that time. The age of ignorance. They were ignorant. They had no God.
So in America, would you call this the age of ignorance?
No.
Not yet?
Nope. People think it's so bad. And listen, the Bible says it. There's nothing new under the sun. Everybody says whenever there's a war going on, when things start changing, for thousands of years, I think it's a human instinct to say, when we get to a certain age and we start seeing things change, we see change and we say, oh, this is something new. And we say, oh, the world's going to end. Oh, the world's coming to an end. No, it's fucking not. It's actually getting better, especially in America. America is always getting better. It's not getting worse. It's getting better. We may take steps back in certain areas, but as a whole, we get better. We progress. As a school teacher, I see it now. When I was in special ed my whole life, dude, we were stuck in a basement. We didn't even get to eat lunch in the now they've changed that. They've changed that. These special ed kids, they switch classes. They're regular mainstream kids in school. It's not the same. We get better. We get better. Our forefathers were very smart, but they had a lot of foresight. They designed the system so that it would be able to keep up with the changing times and get itself to keep up with the changing of times, and so that it can always adapt and change. And that's why it's hard to amend the Constitution, but it's possible. You can amend the Constitution. But back to Islam, the age of Jahiliyyah, age of ignorance, right? People were barbaric. They were killing each other. This, that. They were worshiping idols, golden sheeps, and things like that. So Gabriel came down, found a humble man. Muhammad was illiterate, couldn't read, couldn't write, nothing. He was going to the mountain, and he's in the mountain. First words that Gabriel said to him, Ikra, recite. Means recite in Arabic, recite. And he's like, what the fuck do you mean recite? I can't even write. I can't read or write. Ikra, recite. He kept yelling to recite, and then he started telling them the story, and he started writing it down, and he'd go and he'd meet every day, and he'd meet with Gabriel, and he'd tell him God's message.
God's
and
word,
it was
baby.
the same fucking thing as Christianity, as Judaism. The same things were going on at the same time. So
how you figured that they all came up about the same time in history?
No, not at the same time. No. But that's the thing. Islam was a prescription for the reason it's the same. It's the same God. It's the same goal. It's the same end game. But they have different ways of doing things. Like they pray 5 times a day, and I'll get to that. They have to cover, the women have to cover themselves, things like that. So it's different, right? The way we do things. But we, back in the day, we had rules for women. Women couldn't couldn't leave the house without a man, things like that. We didn't cover them up, but we kind of did. They couldn't wear skirts. They couldn't wear. It was the same thing.
Yeah,
it was the same thing, just in a different color. It was just a different color. So Islam is the same fucking thing as Christianity. It was the same rules. It's the same rules. So Islam was just a prescription for that region and that time and those people, right, and for what was going on at that time. So God seen it fit to set these rules this way for these people at this time for what was going on. Just like in Christianity, well, these people in this area, in this region, or in this time, because they pretty much all started in the same region.
Right.
So, but at this time, different things were going on. So I had to prescribe this religion differently for these people. So that's why I say, really, if you have one of the 3 religions, if you have God, then there's really no need to convert, because I think God prescribed that to you. You were introduced to religion that way for a reason, because that's how God wanted to introduce you. So it's a prescription, like a doctor gives you a prescription for anxiety or for cancer. It's a prescription. This drug is going to help you. So this religion is for you to help you on your path. You know what I mean? To the end game, to get to heaven. Eternity is longer than life, right? So, what do you want? You want to live? You want to live in eternity, in burning in hell, or in heaven? Or do you want to worry about right here on life for the next 80 years and be rich and fucking or whatever? So fuck this life. It's about eternity. It's about getting to to heaven after when this ends. You want to worry about eternity, because that's never ending. So Islam is just, it's the same thing. It's the same God as Christianity. You know what I mean? And they do things that way in these countries because, that's what was prescribed to them. So and I also have this theory or hypothesis that God is not all-seeing, all-knowing, and all, I don't know. There's some things that make me question it, because like with Muhammad,
it's when like you enter into energy fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
So
energy
yes.
field that the people of belief are on, and then we follow on that road.
So when Muhammad went up,
It's
ascended into heaven, and went and met God,
that
God
energy.
told him, Muslims have to pray 5 times a day. You know why that is? That's because at the time people were barbaric, going crazy, right? So
Had to get them in line.
what does the Bible say about idle hands? Idle hands at idle are hands doing the devil's work, right?
So then they start praying.
Right. So if you're not doing anything, if you're bored, if you got nothing to do, what do drug addicts do?
Your mind wanders to that. Yes.
People do drugs because they're bored, because
Dude, I can see the
boredom is a
benefits of
big
praying
thing.
5 times a
So
day.
praying 5 times a day, when that call to prayer comes,
They break out their mat.
they have to screw off to the mosque and they have to go pray.
So if it happened right now, we would go to a mosque.
So if you think, well, not necessarily.
Or we just grab our towels and go to the fucking yoga room.
So they make special, certain circumstances, they make special arrangements.
I can see the benefits
But the
of
problem
praying 5 times a
with
day.
Islam,
It's like-
with all religions, really, is man kind of tainted a lot of religions. And so if you have to go pray, well, that takes away from time for you to do anything wrong, right? Right now you have to go pray, so you can't commit a crime because you have to go pray. So the original prescription for prayers was 150 prayers a day. God told Muhammad, your people have to pray 150 times a day. He ascended down, came to Abraham, Moses. They said, no, I know your people. I'm one of them. I know your people. They can't handle. You have to go back up, and you have to go tell God, that's too much. I need less. How do you negotiate with God? Muhammad had to go negotiate with God.
From 150 to
right?
5 times.
And God's all knowing. So he had to break it down. Then it got down to like 50. Then it got down. Eventually, he got it down to 5. But because
the pattern of recognition that we just kept doing it, it was like the
so now if
repetition.
if
They were
you